The laws of physics dictate that all isolated systems eventually degrade over time. To survive, a biological entity must continuously fight this thermodynamic decay. Survival depends on specific maintenance functions keeping the body operational. These are categorized as life processes. The first requirement is securing the carbon-based raw materials needed to run the system, nutrition. The second is a mechanism to ignite that fuel and release stored energy, governed by respiration. Because fuel and energy must reach absolutely every part of the organism, the third requirement is a logistics network, transportation. Finally, because all of these chemical reactions create dangerous toxic byproducts, the system requires a venting mechanism to expel waste, excretion. From a single cell to the trillion-cell complexity of a human, these four fundamental constraints dictate how a biological system is built and maintained. Biology utilizes two primary engineering strategies to acquire fuel. The autotrophic strategy is seen in organisms that act as self-contained solar foundries. This process, photosynthesis, uses chlorophyll and sunlight to lock carbon dioxide and water together into sugar. To manage this, plants utilize stomatal pores. These tiny openings allow for gas exchange, while guard cells regulate the accompanying loss of water vapor during transpiration. Organisms that cannot synthesize their own food use the heterotrophic strategy, importing existing complex matter from their environment. This diagram shows the simplest iteration, the holozoic nutrition of an amoeba. It uses pseudopodia to physically envelop food particles, creating a vacuole where enzymes can digest the matter. While autotrophs construct fuel from ambient energy, heterotrophs are designed to deconstruct external matter to harvest its stored energy. Moving from a single cell to human biology requires a massive multi-organ assembly line to process dense payloads of matter. Digestion begins in the mouth, where teeth provide mechanical grinding, and salivary glands release amylase to begin breaking down starches into sugars. Food then moves through the esophagus. This transit relies on peristaltic movement, the active muscular contraction and expansion of the canal, rather than simple gravity. Inside the stomach, hydrochloric acid drops the pH of the environment, allowing the enzyme pepsin to dismantle proteins. In the small intestine, bile from the liver and pancreatic juices separate fats, carbohydrates, and proteins into their simplest molecular forms: glucose, fatty acids, and amino acids. This elaborate pipeline reduces complex foreign matter into raw molecular fuel that individual cells can finally absorb. Fuel is useless without an oxidizer. While we often use the terms interchangeably, breathing is merely the mechanical intake. Respiration is the cellular oxidation of glucose to release power. To maintain this reaction, the organism must continuously import atmospheric oxygen and vent carbon dioxide. Air tracks from the nostrils, through the trachea, to the alveolar sacs for gaseous exchange. Inhalation mechanics depend on changing chest volume. First, ribs lift up. Simultaneously, the diaphragm muscle contracts and flattens downward. This coordinated movement increases the total thoracic volume. As volume increases, internal pressure drops, creating a vacuum that pulls atmospheric air into the lungs. Terrestrial lungs contrast with aquatic systems that extract dissolved oxygen from water, or plants that exchange gases through lenticels in their stems. Regardless of the hardware, the respiratory system ensures the molecular fuel has the chemical spark required for ignition. Multicellular life faces a logistics problem. Fuel is located in the gut and oxygen is in the lungs, but every distant cell requires both to function. The circulatory system acts as a pressurized transport network that bridges these physical gaps through two connected loops. Blood serves as the vehicle, circulated through the pulmonary and systemic loops to deliver resources and collect waste. This is supported by lymph, a yellowish fluid that manages the intercellular spaces and assists in general transportation. Plants solve this differently. They use transpiration to create an upward pull through the xylem for water, and translocation to move food via the phloem. Without this continuous distribution, a large organism would starve and suffocate from the inside out. Releasing energy from complex molecules creates chemical exhaust, specifically urea synthesized in the liver. To prevent toxicity, the kidneys act as filtration hubs that scrub the blood of these byproducts. Each kidney contains millions of filtration units called nephrons, which actively remove urea from the bloodstream. This waste is consolidated into urine, passed through the ureters, and stored in the bladder before being purged through the urethra. Excretion is the final failsafe. If this exhaust system stops, the organism poisons itself with its own metabolic waste. Every specialized organ we have examined functions as part of a single, synchronized closed-loop engine. Digestion mechanically dismantles the fuel, respiration provides the chemical spark, transport delivers the components, excretion vents the toxicity. While the biological hardware differs between an amoeba and a human, the underlying thermodynamic principles are identical. To understand biology is to look past surface anatomy and recognize the relentless engineering required to maintain life against the constant pressure of the environment.